Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks. I have played around a little bit with the sound settings. Hopefully they're better this time. I know a lot of people said it was very quiet my last few, so hopefully this makes a difference. But anywho, today we're going to be taking a look at the LMS Princess Royal class from Caledonia Works. Absolutely awesome pack. It is a very large pack. It's one of their mega packs for something like 25 euros, so upwards of around 30 US dollars. So it is a little bit of an expensive pack per TSC standards, but CW often does sales. Matter of fact, I just picked this up with a 25% off, so that dropped it down to about 25-ish US dollars. So not too bad, but it is a really nice pack. I have been playing around with it a little bit, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. They're very, very, very nice locomotives. So a bit on the history. They are a 462 designed by William Stainer, with 12 examples being built at Crew Works between 1933 and 1935 for use on the West Coast Main Line. 2 are preserved today. Just going off of Wikipedia. The 2 preserved examples are 6201 Princess Elizabeth and 6203 Princess Margaret Rose, and both have operated on the main line in preservations. Pretty neat. Whether or not either one of them are operational today, I really don't know. Let's see. According to Wikipedia, Princess Margaret Rose last ran in 1996, while Princess Elizabeth was withdrawn in 2021 due to a cracked firebox. So neither one are in operation today, I assume. So just a little bit of the history, but now I do not have each and every example placed down here because the CW models are kind of bad about giving me out of memory errors, unfortunately, so really kind of pushing it here. I kind of figured I would have got an out of memory error with 2 or 3. Kind of surprised I got this far. So do bear that in mind with this pack. I really wish I had chose somewhere else to do this because that shop is loud. But yeah, so keep in mind there are a lot more examples that you can play around with. These are just the ones that I kind of picked to place down, as it gives the best variety of paint schemes that you'll get, and whatever else. So you are going to get British Rail and LMS configurations. I chose the Crimson Lake LMS config just because I absolutely love the Crimson Lake scheme. I think it's an awesome color scheme. So that will be this will be the model that we'll be playing around with today, but we will get up close, kind of talk about some of the differences, and so forth. Now, these are advanced models, so they do operate like what do they call it, the expert models and such on the Steam store. So they do have simulated steam chests and braking systems, fuel, water, all that fun stuff. So you do need to know a thing or two about operating steam locomotives to be able to really make good use of this pack. But it's really not that hard to learn, and they do include a nice in-depth README file and manual, which is kind of helpful. So Anywho, back to my notepad here. So featuring period accurate LMS lamps, numerous cab views, BR and preservation headboards, realistic fully functional cabs, over 105 quick drive consists. There is a note there because you will need a separate coach pack for all of the consists. I forget which one it is, but you do get a set of coaches with the pack. So I didn't end up picking up the secondary coach pack that they require for all of the consists, but that is a heads up. Do read into that if you want to be able to use all of the consists. And as I was saying, overhauled LMS period 3 coaches by Matrix Trains, which I do have a set here in front of us. This is the Royal Scot quick drive consist. Let's see, authentic sounds from Steam Sound Supreme, BR AWS simulation, 3D firebox and coal, fire and dynamic smoke effects, customizable lamp arrangement for the locomotive and the tender, high intensity lamps for modern mainline running, functioning water dependent on route grade, fluctuating water depending on route grade. I read that wrong. Working water scoop, SimNation's new locomotive V2.0 scripting featuring realistic performance physics, realistic regulator and steam chest simulation, vacuum brake ejectors, realistic adhesion, cab light effects, lump firing simulation, auto fireman, customizable lamps for AI traffic, performance mode for less powerful PCs, gauge oscillation at speed, advanced safety valves, chimney particles and systems, fire intensity synchronized with the exhaust beat, and carefully created simulation for realistic performance and boiler management. So that is the list of features according to their manual. And then of course the keyboard controls for anybody that needs to be able to read those. Definitely kind of an important thing to read if you need to know the basics of operating this thing. As per real life, there is vacuum brake leak on vacuum brake systems, so you do have to keep that in mind when operating this. Customization. So you can customize the, what is this? This code, which is running number, shed code, smoke box door, top feed, and crown. 6201 only. LMS models, you can change the locomotive number, shed code, locomotive shed node, yeah, AI numbers. So changing stuff like that, I've gone over it on a lot of the VictoryWorks products. Just double click on the locomotive in the editor and a flyout will pop out with a set of numbers over here that tells you what the current setup is, and then you will have to obviously read the manual to figure out the number combination that you want to get the configuration that you want. So let's get up close and personal. Now I don't know entirely what major changes go on between the BR and the LMS models. I know most of the BR models have the AWS system in it, whereas the LMS model I do not think does. Yeah. So I've been playing around with the LMS model just because it's kind of nice if I need to get up and walk off for a second. The auto fireman can take over, and I can do what I need to do and not worry about the AWS system going off. Such is life. But I know that is one of the noticeable changes, as well as some of the smaller things like a speedometer. And it's not really a smaller thing, but looks like this one is not equipped with a speedometer. Let's see. One of these is. Here's one. Equipped with a speedometer. So it'll have associated reading that goes along with it. We have lined and unlined black, crimson, Brunswick, blue. And these are 4-cylinder locomotives. That is what these walkie chests are up here on the front. I really can't tell if the inside cylinders are mottled. Obviously it's dark in here, so it's kind of hard to see much of anything. Which is fine. You really can't see it all from the outside anyway, so if it's not modeled, oh well, it is awesome. Up close, as is very typical of Caledonia Works models now, the detailing is absolutely wonderful. And look, round. Properly round. I have seen brand new stuff for US content that's supposed to be round and is very angular. It's kind of sad, but that is what we get for North American content. But these CW models are very, very, very highly detailed. It's awesome. Lots of 3D rivets. You guys know how much I love those. Externally, these locomotives look kind of plain, to be perfectly honest. Then again, a lot of British locomotives do to me. Compared to American locomotives, got a ton of appliances and whatnot, all out in the open. These look very simple, clean. I love their brass texture. The brass texture looks really good. Here it looks kind of faded, kind of yellowish. Might be real, don't know. It's kind of a noticeable difference between the brass texturing. These do have a functioning water scoop, which is fun to play around with. It's another one of those things where it's really, really hard to see it. It's right there. But it is nice that it's included. If you hear whining in the background, I am watching one of my buddy's puppies for a little bit while he goes grocery shopping. And he doesn't do so hot being left. He's a little bit spoiled, which is perfectly fine. Paint schemes look really, really good. Texturing is absolutely awesome. And lettering plates will change depending on the number chosen, which is very nice. Like we got Princess Elizabeth right here, one of the preserved models. Princess Elizabeth in BR blue. And I love their smoke effects. This idle smoke looks really, really, really good. It looks probably, it's some of the most natural looking smoke that I have ever seen in TSC to this day. Really the only other developer that has really caught my notice with smoke and particle effects was Fourth Gaming. Forth Gaming. Those guys do really, really good with their exhaust and steam effects. They look really good. But these right here, these are easily some of the best idle smoke in game, period. And truth be told, there's really not anything that I could pick out that I don't like on these. Like, I really don't see anything that could be improved on the external models, which is weird. It's very rare for me to... Well, I spoke too soon. In the sunlight, the texturing looks very square. You see the squares. Might be a TSE issue, though. Might not be CW's doing. But their texturing, their lines, lettering, everything looks on par. It's a little bit blurry when you get, right up on it, but how often are we ever, right up here? So everything looks really, really good externally. Compared to these guys' earlier models, they have come a long, long way. It's so very frustrating as an American seeing all of the major American developers have zero progression whatsoever in their modeling, and then you see guys like this that it's such a night and day difference. I have looked over a couple of Caledonia Works' earlier models. I haven't looked at their most early models, just because a lot of their early models I either don't own or they've taken them off of their website, no longer available. So, because they do actively update their stuff too, which is awesome. So, it's so very frustrating as an American seeing. We never get any progression from our own guys. We have Machine Rail. That's Machine Rail and what is it, DSG, DDR. It's really about all we've got as far as actively improving developers. But these guys have done really, really, really good. These look awesome. And like I said, I've been playing around with these a little bit, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. And we're going to jump into the LMS model. Oh yeah, even the numbers. Numbering is nice and crispy. Everything looks really good. I don't know what's wrong with this dude. He is cold. I don't know why. There's a very large fire right there, but he is cold. Actually, before I jump in, let's scroll down the line here. I 100% have no idea what each car is. I will go ahead and admit that right now. I will say that there are LMS and BR versions of each car, but there is a nice long list of coaches that go along with them. I think they are a little bit older. Again, they are Matrix trains. These are not CW's own models. So certain things do look a bit aged. Prime example. They have been touched up, I believe, but certain things definitely look dated. I'm not gonna chew on them too much because they're not really the focus of the pack. Focus of the pack is the locomotives all day. But it is really nice that you do get a set of coaches to match them. I know that's been one of my things with a lot of the British locomotive packs. All too often they won't come with any cars to really match them, or they come with very generic coach freight or passenger cars that are included in every other pack. But these cars, they look pretty good for what they are. There's a lot of things that just don't stand up to the locomotive, such as the roof here. Stuff like this. This whole line right here just does not look great compared to the locomotive. And of course, like I showed earlier, the texturing on the frame is like MSTS era. Photo texturing. Eh. But they're alright. Nice and long train too. Anywho. Now, as I said earlier, inside the cab there are a couple things that'll change depending on the era and locomotive that you choose and what you set it up as. So, obviously I chose the LMS Crimson Lake model, so I do not have an AWS system or a speedometer, which I pointed those out in the locomotives over there. But other than that, they don't change a ton. They're not very wildly different between each locomotive, so again, I don't see a huge point to jumping into each and every one. It just doesn't really serve a purpose, and we'd be here all day. So, things you can play with. Windows, the deflectors. I am kind of surprised at them though. Some things you can't play with that one would expect, like the front window here. Front window we don't get. The roof slots we do. Side doors. And they do change in association with what they are inside the cab. So you go outside and they reflect what they are inside. The handbrake is functional. Of course, our injector water, both sides. The water scoop, again, it is functional, but as I showed you guys earlier, it's really, really dark under the tender, so it's kind of hard to tell that it's there. But it is there. It does function. Just FYI. So, let's see. What else we got? We got, of course, our firebox. So fire looks alright. Not gonna lie, I like what Victory Works does better. I think their firebox model just kind of looks better. The inside of their firebox looks a little better. Theirs is kind of set up better for operating without a HUD. This is kind of hard to tell what your firebox level is at. I am going to Control R, enable the auto fireman. So Control R will enable or disable the auto fireman if you so desire to have it. Let's see. The seats. We don't get those. That is very dark in here. Rear and front dampers. Blower. We don't get that one. We don't get that one. Of course, our whistle, which is on either side. We don't get that one. Fireman's injector, driver's injector. Large ejector. See, that kind of surprised me. You don't get the small ejector, just the large. Of course, the actual train brake, you'll have to click on it because it shows it in off position when you first hop in. Don't know why, but it does on pretty much every steam locomotive model now. Now our safeties are going to start throwing a fit. Let's be sure our track is set up before we go racing into something, though. I'm facing the wrong way, but that's fine. We got plenty of track to get it going for what I want for our video today. These do have a reverser lock, which is operated with the E key. So let's see if it operates. Pull up the F5 HUD so that we can see it. Which it does not. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of sad at that. The reverser is not modeled on the external view. Oh well. I also missed something. The cylinder cocks are right here. Kind of hidden. And I believe that's about it. So to kill your brakes, you'll have to put your train brake in off position and then open your large ejector. Reason I say I'm kind of surprised. A lot of the other models that have this simulated typically give you the small ejector as well, because you wouldn't run along with a large ejector wide open. You'd typically use your small ejector to keep your pressure from building back up. So I'm a bit surprised. Anyway, so how to use the locomotive in TS per their instructions is to keep the coal between 1050 and 1100 pounds, keep your water level between 70 and 90%, open your cylinder cocks before moving. That's pretty typical information. Open your dampers, release the brake and put into running, open to 50% regulator, open the sander. If your wheels are slipping, once at about 10 mile an hour, turn off the cylinder cocks and move reverser to 20%, open the regulator. Keep on top of your fire and water mass, adjust cutoff or regulator when needed. So, we got our brakes, they're done. Let's get going. Oh yeah, front sanders. See if our sanders are modeled. They are indeed very cool. Got a really nice sounding hooter whistle. I do enjoy it. Ooh, wheel slippage. Getting your cylinder cocks is a little bit of a headache because you can't see and it's like in a wacky spot, but that's okay. Lots of CAD views. Awesome. Love it. Start bringing our reverser back. Without a wide. Really like the chuff sounds. Very nice. Which is pretty typical of Steam Sound Spring. They tend to do really, really good whenever they're involved with sound development. About to get stuck in a tunnel here. So if you aww, why did the brakes decide to apply? There's not an AWS system. Now that is a little bit of an annoyance. There's not an AWS system, but it'll still kick on your brakes for some wacky reason. And our speed limit was 40. We didn't get 40, but oh well. One thing I'm not a big fan of is there's not a cab light model, like a little lamp or something to turn on so that you can see in the dark. Not much one can do about that. Go ahead and open the throttle and leave it that way and see if we can. I didn't even know that there is a cab light modeled. There's not. So, yeah, with no cab light, I do kind of wish that they had added like a little lamp or something in here that you could see. But whistle, if you control space, it'll play tuned whistles. Versus space will play the full drawn out whistle. I like the chuff sounds overall. There could be a little bit better blending in the change of chuff sounds. They're not bad. Oh yeah. Control 1, 2, 3, 4 will change your headlights. Of course, Control 1 will change the top through all the different items that you can play with. And now we're cruising a little bit. Oh well. I'm curious. I wonder if we can lock up the brakes. I haven't actually tried that before. Let's see if we... Aw. So even with the emergency, we can't really lock up the brakes. But I can showcase the headlights again. So, Control 1 will change your head code to all sorts of different bells and whistles. And I believe it's the same for the tender, though I'm still trying to play with which buttons change the tender. Granted, I might need to have the train unhooked for it to show off the tender. Yeah, it doesn't add anything there either. Chuff sounds are really, really nice. Kind of surprised there's no brake squeal or anything with the emergency brake set off. Oh well. Curious as to what they mean by wheel slip right now. We're not moving. But as you guys can see, it's a fairly easy locomotive to figure out. It's not too terribly complicated. And really and truly, I believe that's about it. Highly recommend checking it out. Again, available on Caledonia Works' website. So, it is in euros. keep that in mind whenever you're scrolling through the price listing for those of you that do not use euros. But I highly recommend checking it out. I like it. I'm a big fan of the their progression. Their models have gotten so nice over the last couple of years. So definitely go check it out. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.